Hi, my name's Mike and this is my vlog about Burnley FC and football in general. If you haven't seen any of these videos before, then what I do is it's a little bit different from a match day vlog or a podcast, which is a moment in time. What I do is I talk about a particular issue, about Burnley FC in particular, or maybe football in general. Now, as I record this, Clarets are standing 1 point off automatic promotion, and understandably the question has already been asked, is it not better to stay in the Championship rather than get promoted into the Premier League? Now, first off, let's be clear, there is no choice in the matter. Because of the way the club was purchased, the amount it was purchased for, Burnley need to be in the Premier League. ALK bought the club to make a profit, and that profit will only be realised if or when Burnley are a Premier League club. Financially, they may have planned for the Championship, but let's be clear, without the £200 million that you get for being in the Premier League, the financial outlook is not good, and ALK are not here to subsidise a Championship team. The financial argument is so strong it overwhelms all the others. In the Premier League, each club gets a minimum of £12.3 million for broadcasting 10 games. That is not prize money, that isn't a share of the overall TV revenue, that is purely for broadcasting games. If you win the Championship, you get £6.4 million for the season. Now, in total, if you actually look at some of the broadcasting monies and the way that Sky allocated it, Sky actually paid 4 times as much to not broadcast Burnley in the Premier League over 6 seasons than the Clarets would have got for winning it 4 times over. So that's the financial argument. What else about not being in the Premier League? Well, being in the Premier League means you get absolutely deliberately ignored. If you are not playing one of the big clubs, Big 6, soon to be 7, forget it. You are going to get ignored unless something major happens. VAR injustice didn't happen. Referees making the wrong decisions didn't happen. Unless you're affecting one of the big clubs, it does not matter. All you need to do is look at the Guardian's match report of that brilliant victory back in 2019 where we beat Man United away at Old Trafford. We played them off the park, topped off by that fantastic surface-to-air screamer from Jay Rodriguez, and the Guardian's match report hardly mentions the Clarets. And it's never going to, because the guy who covered the match for the Guardian is also a Manchester United fan. You'll find this on Match of the Day. There is a reason there are Manchester United pundits and Liverpool pundits. They're not there to give an unbiased view. They are there to attract Manchester United fans and Liverpool fans and give them what they want to listen to. They might be good writers, they might be good pundits, but they're not going to see the match through anything other than those lenses, because if they did, they wouldn't have that job. Then across the way, you just have Manchester City, and even before they signed Haaland, they were football's equivalent of the Terminator. Their job was to make sure that they kill you in the most efficient manner possible. When JBG got that equaliser at Turf Moor a few years ago, Pep took that really, really personally. So all they did was just employ a couple more analysts to watch the footage of every game we played, because they don't need to make a profit. They're there to win everything. Like I say, they are the Terminator. It's not personal, it's just business. And mixing that media love in and more money than God is Newcastle. Everything you read about Eddie Howe says that he steered the Magpies free of relegation last year. He's instilled discipline, organisation, togetherness, tactical nous, with only hard work, intelligent decisions, and, don't mention it, £250 million this year. But that's very carefully ignored. And of course, if Newcastle need any more helping hands, then Eddie's employers have plenty of spares lying around in a bucket. But even when you don't have that and all that to deal with, you have the fan bases. Now, Liverpool. I miss Sean Dyche not standing for Jurgen Klopp's sideline bullshit, because it was really funny. But I don't miss this most self-righteous fan base in the country. Arsenal. That's another load of people who managed to mix being snide and divey on the pitch with a fan base that gives divorced dads a bad name. So a plague on all their houses because everyone else doesn't matter. The Premier League is exactly the same as professional wrestling, and I say that as a fan of professional wrestling. You have the games on the pitch or you have the match in the wrestling ring. But when those aren't happening, the wrestlers get microphones and they talk to each other about how they're going to beat each other up next week. And the idea is that you, the viewer, are persuaded to go, yeah, I agree with that, and I want to pay my money or I want to tune in to watch it. For wrestling promos, I give you Sky Sports News. Its function is to hype and sell you the next match in exactly the same way that professional wrestlers are doing. It's just that, ironically, wrestlers are more honest about it. Sky have to fill time between the games somehow, so they give you analysis, but it's actually hype. There is no rest between games. It is constant, and it is so tiring. So that's what happens when you're not one of the big clubs in the Premier League. And in the Championship, well, every club matters. The games come thick and fast. There's no time for hype, so the match matters, not everything else around it. Better still, there is no glass ceiling for any club. A good run gets you near the top, a bad run drops you near the bottom. Luton and Huddersfield got to the playoffs last season. That was fantastic. This season, top of the league, QPR. It's unpredictable. It's interesting. If the QPR or Luton go up, that's football working as it should. But when Leicester won the Premier League, the other clubs looked at on that remarkable story and decided it should not be allowed to happen again. I like going to Championship grounds. I like watching Championship clubs. They feel real. They feel more authentic. A visit to the Etihad is like shopping in Harrods. You get to pick up a couple of cheaper things, but as soon as you walk amongst the expensive stuff, the staff make it clear you can look, but you can't touch. Championship clubs have things that the big Premier League clubs don't have. They have scars. They have memories. They have struggle. Sunderland fans last week held a banner celebrating their 1973 FA Cup win because it means something to them. Whereas for far too many clubs in the Premier League, the FA Cup is just a consolation prize. And the Premier League doesn't care about Burnley, so I say, why should we care about it? But do I want Burnley to go up? Well, reluctantly, we have to. It's a money thing. The riches are so great, it has to be done. And if you're a non-Claret watching this and you're thinking I'm being arrogant, no, a season or two in the Premier League is actually great fun because you do get to visit Anfield and Old Trafford and Stamford Bridge and have a bit of fun. But the second or third season, the novelty's worn off. You spend the season looking over your shoulder. You're worried more about relegation. You know that you're never going to get anywhere. You realise a good season, even an exceptional season, means you might get, 8th? Here's two big truths. The Premier League is dull and predictable. The other is, it's designed that way. Much is made of the equality of revenue sharing in the league, but that's not exactly a lie. It's just not the whole truth. Via TV facility fees and overseas broadcasting deals, the majority of the money is spread between 6 clubs, and I'm not sure that's even going to become 7 with Newcastle. They get all the money, they get all the attention, and if you happen to take points off them, they absolutely whinge about it. If you aren't the big clubs, then the Premier League is, to quote a great writer, full of sound and fury signifying nothing. You are cannon fodder. Your job is to turn up and not try too hard, lest the poor lambs at Old Trafford be too tired for their Champions League match the following Wednesday. We don't matter, and when it comes to Burnley, I rather think the Premier League would be happier if we weren't in it. And to be honest, so would I. So I have a solution. Let whoever wins the Championship have a choice. Promotion to the Premier League, or we can refuse it and take the parachute payments we would have earned anyway. That way, we get to watch interesting football. That way, we get to feel connected as supporters to the fortunes of the club. That way, the games are interesting. That way, the club stays financially stable. That way, the Premier League don't have to try and market Burnley FC as to the official league noodle sellers in Thailand. And that way, we probably get to turn into Manchester City in more ways than one. So that's my bit. What did you think? Leave a comment below. As always, likes are appreciated. If you like and subscribe, then I really appreciate it. Send a link to this video to all your friends, and up the Clarets.